Hey everyone, you're watching the Finding Awareness YouTube channel. My name is Amit Pagadar, and today I'm going to talk about 5 ways you can be more present in your life. Before we even get into this question, we have to ask ourselves, what is presence? What does it mean to be present? To be present obviously means that my mind and my attention is fully focused on what is going on in my life right now. Not yesterday, not in the last hour, not tomorrow, but right now. And what does it mean to have my mind and attention completely in the present moment? It means to have my thoughts restricted in a space where they only revolve around the things that I'm doing at the moment. Not what I did yesterday, not what I'm going to do tomorrow, but what I'm going to do right now. And the second question we have to ask ourselves is, why should we even practice presence? Why are we trying to do this? Are we doing this because we heard it somewhere that being present is somehow more spiritually mature, etc.? Or are we trying to be present because we are serious about our own lives? Look at your own life and observe how, when your conditioning takes over, when the past takes over, when there are unresolved emotions which arise, they take you back into a scenario which has happened many years ago, many months ago, many days ago. And you start watching a movie in your mind. Undergo, you start having a flashback of memories, of emotions, which have got nothing to do with what's going on in your life right now. And if we keep allowing that to happen without doing anything about it, then we are living in our past. And because we are living in our past is going to start controlling our present, which means all my responses to the current situations and challenges I'm facing today are old responses. That is, my past begins to act, and because my old past, my old self is acting right now, I start repeating the past, which is why you see we go through the same kind of experiences over and over again in life. That's because we are letting our conditioning take over, and the past is beginning to act and control the present. This is why we want to practice presence. What is the first thing you can do to be more present? Notice I'm not saying to be constantly present, but to be more present. It is not possible to be constantly present because we live in a complex society where we have responsibilities, we have work to do, we have several commitments we must answer to, because of which continuous presence is not an option. It just doesn't happen that, let's say, I'm driving and I'm continuously just present. I have to pay attention to what's happening on the road, for instance. I have to pay attention to what's happening in my workplace, because of which I cannot practice continuous presence. So, how can I be more present? Because more is better. The first thing we can do is to ask ourselves, can I take 20 conscious breaths throughout my day? What does that mean? 20 conscious breaths means when I am breathing, my mind is focused on the act and on the sensations of breathing. It is not focused on anything else. If it is focused on anything else, then that is not conscious breathing, that is unconscious breathing. So, can I take 20 conscious breaths, which would take about 4 to 5 minutes if you take 4 to 7 breaths in each minute? Can I do this over and over again in my day? Maybe once at 9 o'clock, maybe once at noon, maybe once at 3 p.m., 6 p.m., again 9 o'clock. Because when I take 20 conscious breaths, what I'm essentially doing is I'm clearing my emotional state and bringing it back to neutral. So if I'm getting carried away in some kind of a past thought pattern, 20 conscious breaths, paying attention to my breathing, calms my heart rate and brings my mind back into the present. So that's the first thing. What is the second thing you can do? The second thing you can do is create this habit of journaling every single morning. Journaling sounds a little bit cheesy, a little bit childish, but it is not childish at all. Great thinkers and philosophers from time immemorial, for hundreds of years, people have noted down their thoughts in a journal. Charles Darwin used to do that. If Charles Darwin did not do it, today we would not have the theory of evolution. Marcus Aurelius used to do it. Um, All kinds of Albert Einstein used to do it. Virginia Woolf used to do it. So many people I can think of who used to journal, and philosophers. J. Krishnamurti used to journal. Every great thinker maintained a journal. And I'm not asking you to be a great thinker. I'm only saying have this practice of opening up a book and noting down your thoughts. You can do a couple of things. One is you can write down your thoughts, what you're thinking about right now. You can write down about an insight you had, which is a certain idea or a certain flash of clarity you had in your meditation. Or you can write about what you want to create in your life. Write about how you look in your future. I become a person who can. I believe that I am able to do a certain thing. And writing these things down in your journal starts developing a relationship with your subconscious mind. Because the more you write something, don't write anything which is going to be harmful to you, because it works both ways too. So write something which is going to be beneficial to you. Don't write silly stuff like I manifest, or I am chasing $1 million, or I get the life partner I want. Those things you cannot manifest because they require other people to act in certain ways. We don't write things in our journal which require the world to bend to your will. That's not the point of this. The point of writing is to cultivate a deep relationship with your own psyche, with your own deep self. Make sense? So create a journaling practice. 20 conscious breaths and a journaling practice. If you don't know how to journal, I will put the link in the description below and you can download the meditation and journaling guide. We are not deliberately not including meditation in this because meditation is difficult for some people. Okay, so meditation may not be the thing you want to do in order to be more present. Does it help? Absolutely, meditation helps. But journaling helps. If you can do one between meditation and journaling, I would recommend journaling, because journaling eventually will transition into meditation. Okay, so those are the two things. What is the third thing you can do? The third thing you can do is start expecting and embracing boredom. Okay, start expecting and embracing boredom. Why? Because if you do not expect to be bored, if you do not embrace your boredom, then when you feel bored in your day, that's the time when your past is going to come and take over. If you have unpreparation, that is, you are not prepared to be bored, you don't admit boredom in your life, you're afraid of being bored, which is I must constantly be occupied, I must constantly be on my phone, I must constantly be doing this or that, something, keep myself engaged, keep myself busy, be productive, right? This toxic sensation of constantly keeping yourself occupied, if you have this, rest assured that your past is going to take over, because eventually you are going to run out of things to do, eventually you are going to get bored, and if you are not expecting to be bored, if you are not going to embrace this boredom, which is allow yourself to be in a state of boredom, then in those moments you are the weakest, which is your past is going to be having a strong pull over your mind and is going to pull you into a distant memory, and it's going to make you relive that memory and repeat your past. So expect boredom. It's okay to be bored. I am bored, so what? I will maybe read a book, maybe I will take my dog for a walk, maybe I will listen to some music. I will do something, keep myself engaged, but in a soft, in a gentle way, not running away from the feeling of boredom. See, admitting, yeah, I am bored right now, and that's okay. Admitting boredom in your life, expecting it, accepting it, and embracing it. Make sense? The fourth thing you can do is you have to increase what I call active self forgetfulness. Increase active self forgetfulness. What does that mean? What I mean by that is do something which lets you forget yourself. Pursue a hobby. Do something that makes you inspired. Do something that makes you feel alive. If you do not do any such thing, then you do not experience active self forgetfulness. Because let's say I love to paint. When I begin to paint, I get involved in painting, I get absorbed in it. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours are gone. I have no sense of self, I have no track of time in those 4 hours. I have completely forgotten who I am. This is essential for you to be more present. Why? Because when you come back, you now come back to a person who you are much more comfortable with, who you agree with much more in the way that life is supposed to be lived. Because to be present means also to have a general sense of ease with how our life is. If I don't have this general sense of ease about the way I feel about myself, I'm constantly going to reject who I am. However, if I have a good habit, if I am able to forget myself in the pursuit of something that I enjoy doing, if I have inspiration in my life, if I have active self forgetfulness in my life, when I remember myself, when I come back to myself, I come back to a person I generally like. And if I generally like the person who I am in my daily life, being present with that person becomes that much more easier. So, increase active self forgetfulness, which is if you're doing something already, do it more. That's why I say increase. Second, decrease passive self forgetfulness. So, this is the fifth one. Decrease passive self forgetfulness. What does that mean? It means the exact opposite of the previous one. Passive self forgetfulness is me laying back and consuming information, consuming entertainment. That's passive self forgetfulness. Because when I watch a movie that lasts 3 hours, or when I watch a television series on Netflix or wherever, that also lasts 10 hours, and I am completely gone during that time, which is I don't remember myself when I'm watching a movie. But that is a passive kind of self forgetfulness because I'm not engaging my senses, I'm not learning anything, I'm not applying my abilities towards growing of a skill. So when I come back to myself, when you come back to yourself after watching 10 hours of television, you feel sad, you feel low, you feel dull, you feel pathetic in some sense, right? Oh, I just wasted 10 hours of my life. Sometimes you feel good. You say, I saw a great series and I was very entertained by it. You were entertained in the proportion that you were inspired. You were entertained in the proportion that you found some amount of active self forgetfulness in that whole sphere of passive forgetfulness. Correct? Only in that proportion did you find true um, enjoyment. But if you completely lost yourself in passive activities, video games are also fall in this category. Again, video games are very interesting because there is a part of playing a video game for a few hours which is active engagement also, but most of it is passive engagement. But there are activities like surfing the internet, watching your cell phone for many, many hours, discussing politics with friends, watching the news unnecessarily, constantly keeping updated on what's going on in the world. All of this is passive self forgetfulness. So, this is distraction. We got to reduce the distraction, reduce cell phone usage, reduce constant connection to the internet, reduce being plugged in. See, do something which is more active. So, you want to do all these five things in order to increase the amount of presence you feel in your life. And what will happen if you increase the amount of presence in your life? The amount of joy you experience will go up. The amount of happiness you experience will increase. The amount of connection you feel with yourself, the amount of alignment with you feel with yourself will increase. And if that happens, the overall quality of your inner life goes up. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for being here.